Hey there, hey, what's up? What's up? It's your girl, Carissa Atkins.
And I'm Clara Capano.
And you are watching Living Real TV. And I want to remind you that your life is about to boss up and you're going to find clarity in today's episode. We are talking purpose. We're talking passion. We are talking alignment. And it's a great conversation we're going to have. We actually have an amazing guest coming on for the second half, Ms. Jen Zen-Olson. But first, I think we need a drink.
Well, I cannot be in alignment without a little bit of Dion's special sauce. So what are we bringing over here today, Dion?
Thank you, ladies. Well, when it comes to being aligned, I know first thing in the morning, I need a little bit of caffeine, something to get me going. And so today, I've made some mochas for you. I didn't make them on camera because espresso machines are real, and they are heavy, and they take a lot of work to get somewhere. But I did use something that I am absolutely in love with. It is our modern Matriarch salted caramel rum. If you want mom and dad, kids to know that you're drinking, this is definitely the way to go. This stuff is wonderful. It's made right across the river in Iowa. It is delicious, and I stand by every word of it. It's also won a silver medal.
Hey.
This is the actual medal that the distillery won. They actually let me borrow it for a couple of days.
How nice. You got connections.
Oh, well.
Dion got the hookup.
I'm just somebody.
What's funny is, like he said, when you don't want your kids to know, this would have been really good for me to know when I didn't want my mom to know.
No, I'm just drinking a little hot chocolate.
I'm not promoting it. No. Go ahead.
Well, thanks, ladies. It's always awesome to be on the show, and I hope you really enjoy these.
Thank you. Well, here we go. Cheers to purpose and alignment.
Yes. Was there a special name for this?
Salted caramel yumminess.
Yes.
This is so nice, especially, sitting down just on the couch. I kind of want a blanket. This is a great way to, start maybe the weekend morning when you don't have to work, since there's a little shot of goodness in there. But yes, this is so nice.
Yes, and it actually reminds me of, not that I'm drinking coffee typically, but every morning when I'm getting, my spiritual practice on, it's normally hot tea, I'll be honest, but there's something about the ritual of holding something warm, setting an intention for the day, like just feeling amazing, right? Like it takes it all in. It's a part of the ritual.
It is.
What do you think?
I do the same thing. I am a coffee drinker, so definitely part of my morning ritual is I love to, get up and I do my gratitude practice even before I get out of bed, but then making coffee and then doing my written affirmations, my visualization, putting some of those other morning routines as I do, and it is part of my ritual. I do enjoy the taste, the feel, and just feeling like it's just part of my day. So it is a ritual.
It is. What would be another ritual that you couldn't live without?
I think, I think before going to bed, I really love to, just again, wind down my day and reflect on what are 3 great things that happened for the day. And, we had one of our guests in one of our other episodes talking about doing her facial cleansing and how that is. Yeah. And I think that's part of it too, is, just taking off the makeup for the day, and it's just a nice way to close the day, and then ending with a little meditation practice. What about you?
Nice. Well, you know what? I feel like I got to go with the fitness. Like that is every day. I mean, I even got up today. So when I travel, it's there. When I am on vacation, fitness is there. Fitness is, it saved my life. So I'm a huge believer in getting up before the day gets ahead of me and getting my workout on.
Fantastic.
Whether it's kickboxing or, HIIT class or strength training with my hubby. It is a non-negotiable.
Great.
So
excellent.
Cool. Yeah.
So, as we're talking about purpose and intention and alignment today, I know one of the things that helped to bring me in, and I know we'll dive into that a bit more, are quotes. A lot of times I came to my purpose by reading a lot and looking to other people, and I love having motivational quotes to guide me. So let's do our question of the day. So our question of the day today is, what is one of your favorite quotes, and what does it mean to you? So kick us off.
Well, the quote of the year for me is from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, so I'm just going to keep on preaching it. He says, if you really want to do something, you will find a way. If not, you will find excuses. And it means a lot to me because, I'm a champion in my life, and champions don't make excuses. We either do it and we get it done, and I have a lot of respect for women who can do that and step up and show up and boss up and do what they say they're going to do. So when I hear excuses, I'm just like, oh my gosh, we cannot be friends. You know what I mean? Like I'm sorry.
Right.
So yeah, that's really big. And then I always give the women the choice. I was like, cool, this is your situation. You can either make it happen or you can keep making excuses. But the choice is yours. Either one is a choice, and you're going to make it.
Right.
So I throw it back in their court.
Definitely.
What about you?
I have so many quotes that I go to, and I'm going to share two. One is the one from Audrey Hepburn that says, nothing is impossible. It's I'm possible. It's bringing that together. And I think that that's always a great reminder that everything is inside of us to be able to make things possible. And then another quote that I have, and I do not know who said this. I heard it in a talk, so I don't know who to give credit to. But it asks, are your habits today on par with your dreams for tomorrow?
Oh, yeah. I think
And it really just calls my attention to, am I doing the right things to become the person I know I can become?
Yeah.
Because nothing is impossible,
Yeah.
but we have to also, do the action. So I just think,
100%.
again, are the habits you have today on par with the dreams for tomorrow?
Yeah, love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I'm the queen of habit change, so I'm like, so good. Like the rituals we have, the habits, the behaviors that we do, everything kind of sets us up for success. It's just a matter of what kind of a success you want.
Exactly. So let's get into talking about, purpose and alignment and, working on these. And it took me a long time to really find my true calling. It was something that I don't know why, but I think I fought it because I knew my true calling was going into the world of entrepreneurship. And I had a lot of fear because I liked the safety and the security of the paycheck and the corporate job. And I thought that was what I wanted. I thought that was the right path. So it took a long time for me to, reconcile and step into that and really understand. And, now when I think about my why and my purpose, it comes down to the idea that I want to motivate and inspire women to greatness daily. But it took me a long time to get there. Talk to me a little bit about you and what was your journey to help you get in alignment?
Yeah, well, get into alignment or figure out my passion.
Well,
because I think I wasn't unaligned until I found my passion.
So let's talk about finding your passion.
That. So my background, marketing and HR for a local collision center, and I was getting into fitness. I was getting myself healthy over the years, and the community, they were noticing this very fit professional, right? And they were noticing the success I was having in my corporate career and my job, and the growth that business was having. And I mean, I was on top of the world. It was like, whatever you need, Carissa, you have, because we love you, right? You're the glue to the company, like all of these amazing things. And so I never ever dreamed that I would have left there. I thought it would have been, a set of orders from my husband, or somewhere that would have made us leave. Right? I loved the job, and I left. Prior to that, I owned my own business. But you don't just leave what you've built behind for any company, right? So I really aligned up with their values and their core message of serving the community. Like that meant a lot to me, because again, I grew up with entrepreneurial parents. And it was important to me to support small businesses. So I wouldn't have left for any insane, large chain or anything like that. So I was kind of in alignment, I guess, with what my true beliefs were. But there I was, I was doing my thing in the corporate world. The community was watching the weight loss go down. The confidence was rising. They saw the business success coming. And so all of a sudden, it was 2017. And there was a lady on Facebook that said, I'm looking for a health coach recommendation, right? This was really in the era of like when people started going to Facebook for recommendations, like gone were the yellow pages, hello Facebook, we all want to know how your experience was, right? And so she commented there, I don't know her, right? Like on some community page. And 3 people in the community tagged my name, right? 3 to 5 people. And it was Carissa Atkins, or Carissa Williams at the time. Carissa. And at first I was like, that ain't me, right? Like, I'm in marketing. I hope to God my people aren't seeing this, because I was so afraid that, like, what are they going to think that I'm getting out of this business? Like, whatever. But I did reach out to the woman. I said, listen, I know you're looking for a certified health coach. I am not. I am, however, a woman who's lost 100 pounds, who meets women at Panera Bread every Sunday. We talk habits, we talk mindset, and we talk, like love and health and all things like that. And I said, you're more than welcome to join us. And she goes, okay, well, how much? I was like, for free, girl, for freezies, right? Like, I don't want your money. I want to help you, because I know what it was feeling like to be blah and hate my body, and I know what it feels like to be unstoppable. So that was kind of like the spark. But of course, the curiosity now is in my head, and I said, what does a health coach do? So I went to our friend Google, and I Googled health coach, and then the long story of like marketing and, that stockiness found me. And all of a sudden I was seeing different schools and certifications coming up. And I knew in my heart that I didn't need any certification to do anything. I feel that as a coach, as a mentor, as a woman who just wants to help other women, we come from a place of love. But yeah, the other side of me was like, okay, girl, like get your crap together, right? So I settled on Health Coach Institute, and I spent a year and a half studying, getting my health, life, nutrition, and mastery level certifications, HMBA. And then I was still thinking this was a long-term, like not my plan for the next 8 years. I was just gonna get my stuff together, get it together. And then, of course, when we move, my husband retires. Now I'll have everything, right? Now I just need to have the clients.
Right.
I'll be ready to go. But the universe, doesn't quite work out like that. It likes your plan, but if it knows you're capable of more, I feel that it will back you up.
Right.
So I attend a health conference in Texas. It's my first women's health conference ever. It's also the first time they asked me to speak, or not speak on stage, lead and motivate 800 health coaches, getting them up and dancing, getting them up moving their. I was like, oh my God, I'm totally stretching here right now. But I attended, and the coaching, when you go to those conferences, it's like they teach you coaching techniques, they teach you sequences, and then you break up and you practice them, right? Like, okay, Clara, let's talk about what we just learned. Yeah. And that's really good, because that's how I learn. I hear it, and then I need to do it. And this coach, I went up and found her because I was listening to her for 2 days, get up and share her notes and share her tidbits. And she, so when they said we're doing this, it's called a yesing sequence, when you're really feeling stuck. Because by now I was starting to feel like I've got a few clients, but I love my job. And I have a cushy salary and company benefits. Like I was just so conflicted. Sure. Like, what am I supposed to do, God? What am I supposed to do? So I went up and found her. I said, I want you to do this sequence on me. And she's like, why me? I was like, because I've been watching you, and I think that you're going to be excellent for me in this sequence. She walked me through it. 20 minutes later, I had such clarity, and I was like, my purpose in life is to help women get healthy, right? Like, I was still all over the place with, with what I wanted to do and what type of coaching or what coach I wanted to be. And I just found such clarity in 20 minutes with a coach that I didn't have to pay for, which was insane. But I got done, obviously wiped all my tears, because I think when you find your purpose, you're like, I can't say no, right? Like, who am I to say no? And I literally texted my husband at the time. I said, when I get back, I have to put my notice in. And he was just like, let's talk about this. I was like, let's not talk about it now, because I don't want you to be talking me out of it.
Exactly.
I'm declaring that it's going to happen. It may have taken me, 3 whole months to get out of there instead of a 2-week notice. But, I had such love for them. So it was a hard thing. But that is the very start to how I found my purpose and my passion and my expertise, really.
Yeah. I experienced a lot of that too, because I was in the same position where I had the corporate job, I had the health benefits, I had the 401k, the corporate card, all of those good things, but I knew I wanted to go more into the consulting, the coaching, and the speaking. And it was how do I let go of the safety and security? And it reminds me of when you're a kid and you're at the playground and you're on the monkey bars. The only way to go forward is to let go of the bar behind you, which can be scary because you might fall.
Sure.
But you fall, you dust off the sand, and you get back up. And I remember, sitting down and talking with my parents, and it was my mom who said, there's never going to be a great time. You just have to do it. If this is what you want to do, go for it, get your plan together.
Yeah.
And, it was the same way. It's like I had that clarity and I didn't want anyone to talk me out of it. So I also did. I went and surrounded myself with people who did these things. And I went through the same thing, tell me what you're doing, look and see. We've talked a lot about the idea that success leaves clues and finding those people that would, encourage me and keep going.
It's huge, and it was a no-brainer. It was just a matter of when then. And what's crazy is the owner, when I walked in, I pulled the whole Mel Robbins tool because I love my Mel Robbins, especially the 5 Second. It's like one of the books that I recommend always to my clients just because it impacted me so much. But it was really hard to walk away. I mean, I was 6 years, treated like a queen, like anything you need, Carissa, you have. And I knew, and I loved that, right? Like a part of me loved that, knowing that they needed me and they wanted me there. But I went into that locker room, the women's locker room, which was right across the hall from the office, all the CEO offices upstairs. And I counted down from 5, and I was like, "You're gonna do it." And he said, "The minute you came in, I knew I knew the conversation was going." I was just like, I had such clarity in who I was walking in there. Going back to like owning who I want to be, and I was like, this is it. And obviously tears came because it was a love-hate moment for me to leave. But yeah, he knew. He was like, she's leaving.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that because when I went and did the same thing, they said, we've been waiting for this day for you.
Yeah.
And he said, we knew that you were going to be ready to fly one day.
Right.
We're happy that you gave us your time, but we've known this ahead of time. And it's
and
funny
that's a
how
good leader.
That's a great leader.
Quality, because most companies, they train you and they give you all these tools and resources, say go learn this and go learn that. And yes, they hope that you have you, but a good leader is grooming you for something else.
For something bigger.
For something
and doesn't stand in your way when that happens. And I think it's interesting because there are so many times where others see our purpose in us before we do.
Yeah.
And so I think another thing is, asking people, what do you see? That's where a good coach, again, a good leader, a good mentor, because sometimes they can pull these out of you. And I love how you knew there was something bigger and you sought out this other woman to say, do this exercise because I know there's something inside of me. I just need someone else to pull it out of me. Because I think sometimes we might have that fear, that anticipation. Yeah. Because it can be.
I went with 3 Canadians. I was rooming with 3 girls right beside me, right? But we were all on the same level. I could tell that woman had been a coach for years. And, she would just pop, and you can, because at those things you get to go to the mic and you get to share ahas. I'm like, man, she is on point. I don't even know her, but I was like, I want you. And she was like, okay, me, why me? And I was just like, no, I need you. I don't know why, but I have been seeing you and I've been noticing you, and hundreds of people have been standing up. And I still, to this day, do that yesing sequence to every single one of my clients, whether they're faced with, I don't know if I should leave my husband. I don't know if I should, leave my job. I don't know. I was like, great, because we have to, what the sequence does is it quiets down the noise of the BS of the world is what I call it. And it gets you really in tune with your heart and in your gut. It takes your brain out of the mix and you're really making decisions based on what your heart says. Yeah. And hence, yesing, I think it's yesing your heart's desire. Okay. That's what it's called. But yeah, you're never gonna, it's like the baby. I'm like, should I have a baby? You're never gonna be ready, so just have the baby, right? Yeah, you're never gonna have the right money in the bank to leave. People ask me, they're like, okay, so what was your strategy plan for getting out? And I'm like, I had none. I wasn't saving for this. This was not in the cards. I just knew I had it. Every minute I stayed at that job was another woman that I was having to say no to. Yes. Because they were, I'm like, that's not good business sense. I'm turning women away at this point because I don't have the time.
Exactly.
So it's just silly.
Yeah, and I think, you have to get into curiosity because not everybody is going to have the ability to have a savings account, a significant other, or somebody to do that. So if, you had even mentioned it took a few months to be able, to take the lead.
I was trying to find the train. I wanted to train the next girl.
Exactly.
I was ready to go. And every day is really hard when they say, we will double your salary. We want you to, and I'm like, no, my mind is made up, right? And then I had my family saying, Carissa, don't do that. That's scary. What are you going to do for money? You are the main breadwinner, right? Your husband's military. Are you kidding me? You don't make that much money.
Right.
And I was like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. because I have no way up but up.
Right.
Are you kidding me? If I'm waiting for $100K to be in my bank account, I'll never have it, because that's a scary thing.
Exactly. But I think you have to also get curious. And so, even create a plan. Put an end date together, whether your end date is tomorrow or it's 6 months from now, and then use that time to be curious. Again, research it. Go and look at some of the designations that might be required for it. Seek out others who are doing it. Get clear on your ideal client, and bringing these times in. And I think that having that curiosity and seeking that curiosity out can also bring in the confidence and help solidify that you're on the right path.
Yeah.
So I think for some people, because everybody has different levels of risk. Some people are like, I'm just going to go for it, leap, and the net will appear.
Yeah.
Others need a path.
Sure.
So again, if you need that path,
Make
create
it.
But
don't make excuses.
But don't make
for it.
excuses.
Yeah.
Make sure then every day you're working towards it and doing this.
Yeah, 100%. I'm like, and I work with a lot of coaches who are on that flippy floppy. They're like, but I need the money. I'm like, but do you? Because right now, your heart is sacrificing, your passion is sacrificed. So this is really, your employer's not getting the best version of you either at this point. And so I walk them through that. And they're like, okay, well, now I know what I need to do. And I'm like, now it's time to surrender the how. Yeah. And I promise you, you will find a way. Because when you jump, guess what? You swim to the top.
Yeah,
you swim to the top.
It reminds me of, the story of the I don't remember who it was, but they came to the Americas.
Okay.
And the colonel, the general, whoever was guiding them said, we need to burn the boats because we don't want to have an option for retreat.
Yes.
And on some level, that is exactly what you need to do. Because when you have no safety net, there's no chance but to go forward. And I think, looking at that and really working with that, because there's so much beauty when you really get clear on that. And when I started getting clear on that and really seeing it, and I love what you said a few minutes ago, is every minute that you are doing your other job, it's another woman that you're not helping. Yeah. And that's what we really have to connect with, is when we are not in alignment with our purpose, we're not serving. Right. We're not doing what we truly were called to do, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's teaching, whether it's, doing somebody's hair, we all have this calling. And when you truly do understand that, you show up completely
different.
And you show up, wanting to just give on that different level, and just the beauty. I remember before doing these things, going to work and having days where I would cry on the entire day to work, because I knew that wasn't where I needed to be. It wasn't that I hated my job, but I just knew I was meant for more. And even in other items that I've done in other places, when I was coaching and I was part of a company, being their on-site coach, I was doing what I loved, but I still knew I wanted to do more.
Sure.
And so I think, it really does take a lot of courage to do that, but you have to focus on the serving end of it.
And to get into that alignment piece, which I know we're really going to dive into, that purpose and that the power and the alignment in the second half. But like, even now as a coach, I've been coaching since 2018, and the first year, I still wasn't in full alignment. I'm not going to lie, right? Like, that's where the coaches that are like, I can be your coach, and I can do a corporate marketing coaching plan for you. Like, no problem. I can help you do X. And it wasn't until literally a year ago where I got even further clearer, right? But I had to go through all of the crap. I had to go through the men after men, because I used to just coach men, believe that or not. I had to go through all the not perfect clients. Right. And I had to take them for the income, right? Single. I also left my husband, on 29. It was a hard year for me. But I finally found, I feel like, my alignment now. Yeah. And I know that I'm in it when people are now reaching out to me. That's how I feel like you're it, right? When people are like, I want you to speak for my conference. Right. I want you to come and coach, can you help me? And I'm like, why, yes, I can. You meet all of the boxes. And when I feel like when you have that clarity and that full alignment, and people are now coming to you, they see you as the expert, because you're not jumping all over the place, trying to be everything to everyone. But yeah, it's easy to also then say no. Yeah. Remember, you're a good tool for saying no. If it doesn't fit my purpose,
if it doesn't hit the boxes,
it's a hell no. I'm sorry, I love you, but no, right? Like, I can't work with you, and it feels really good. And
it does.
Women will be like, well, but I want to work. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Right.
You're not my people.
Exactly. And having a place to then send them. So again, you're not,
Yes.
you're saying no, but you're still guiding them.
Yeah.
And I am so important because, as we are here, our whole goal is to not just empower today's woman, but to empower the future. And so much of that is really getting clear and finding the courage and the strength to get into alignment. So I'm so excited to continue this conversation with our guest when we come back. So viewers, stay tuned. We are going to be back for the second half, and we are going to bring on an amazing guest, and we are going to continue our conversation on finding your purpose and staying in alignment. So stay tuned.
365 Daily Hustle is a global health coaching company helping purpose-driven women boss up and get healthy so that they can truly show up and thrive in the world. We help women lose weight, gain energy, and feel sexy and confident in their bodies. We help women create sustainable habits that support a positive mindset, nutrition, exercise plans, stress relief, and of course, self-care. If you're tired of feeling like a failure when it comes to your weight loss and health goals, please visit our website at 365dailyhustle.com or join the Healthy Hustle Facebook community today for healthy tips, recipes, workouts, and more.
We are back, and if you just missed the first half, it was an incredible half talking all about how Claire and I found our purpose, our passion, and then we even dove in a little bit about alignment. But we thought we would bring in Purpose Passion Coach Jen Zen-Olson. She is with us all the way from the Twin Cities. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We are very fortunate to have you here to continue this conversation.
Oh, I can't wait. Can't wait to get started.
Yes. So Purpose Coach.
Yes.
Clearly you found your purpose.
I did.
I did. Tell us a little bit about your story and how you became a coach.
Yeah, I really began my journey as a clinical social worker and always knew I was meant to work with people. So the people part was never in question. And so got my master's degree in clinical social work, worked with community mental health, worked with teens in day treatment, and really knew I wanted to have my own practice. Felt really driven to own my own business. I love business. You were talking about this earlier. Love entrepreneurship. And so opened my own practice. And really, when I did that, I thought, this is it. Right? I'm going to retire here. This is it. I worked my tail off to get here. This is exactly what I am aligned to do for the rest of my life. And for many years, loved the work. So it wasn't that it ever was the clients or anything like that. It was really like just doing the thing, feeling like I was enjoying it until I wasn't. And partway through my journey, probably 15 or so years, I started kind of noticing this niggling, this I'm starting to dread Mondays and pray for Friday. And if you know me very well, I am so vital and I'm so high energy. And so something was clearly off, right? And so it was that starting of the calling that you kind of talked about, like there's something that I'm getting called to do. I love how you talked about that. There was this spark. There was this moment where you started getting calls and you knew. And so it was the part that was difficult was the letting go.
Yes.
Because I'd worked hard to create that.
Yeah.
That was my seed. It was a dream. We've all been there. We create something, we get excited. And so it's like, but this is the thing, right? And so there was that fear of pulling away from this thing that I created and that I knew, because I knew I could do it well.
Right.
And it was safe. And I worked hard. And people would look at me and say, Jen's got everything. She's got a great job. She's got a great family. She's got everything together. So from the outside looking in, it was amazing.
Right, and people are like, why would you let go of that?
Right, exactly.
You've got, a six-figure income, you've got the health insurance.
You're doing everything.
Why would you go away from that?
Exactly.
And it's hard to get them to understand that.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, and it's scary, because I knew that was a guaranteed success. I was already doing it.
Yeah.
And so I started having that experience, and I branched off and went and did some yoga certification. And I knew I was being called to do something in that other realm. And so that was really what kicked off, I think, the rest of the journey was doing that and then going to energy work for the first time. upon the recommendation of a dear friend of mine, and realizing I was an energy worker I didn't know my entire life. And so it was just, so the beautiful thing that I love to talk about with people is looking for the dominoes. It's like the first time you got a call from someone to work and you weren't doing it. You were like, wait, what's happening in the universe right now? How am I getting this call to do this
And I could
thing?
have very easily pushed her away.
Absolutely, right?
Like,
right,
no, I
yes.
actually don't do that at all. I just go to the gym.
Right,
Like,
exactly. No.
Yeah.
And so it was all that piece of, uncovering, I'm being called to do something different, and how do I step out of that and into this? And that was a tough call. It took me way too long. And that was one of the only things I would say, and I try not to be, hard on myself, but it took way too long.
Me too.
And so I appreciate your story about that. It took me a little bit to kind of get my head around, how do I do this? And thank God I had support.
Yeah.
Truly, and I'll get to that in a little bit as well, but the importance of people who have the vision with us.
Yeah.
Right. So one of those big things is having a vision for your life and then trusting and listening when something shows up in your heart. It's like, this is not an accident.
Yeah.
We are never given dreams, goals, any of that we're not meant to live into. Right.
Yeah.
And so it was that taking that big leap and going, I deserve better and I deserve to be excited again. And so just that huge transformation of moving from the job and finally saying, I'm leaving. I'll never forget telling my business partner, and we were in the lunchroom and he's like, we need to downsize, but I needed to know if you're coming with us or if you're going to be going on. And I said, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And that real powerful moment of
When you own
leaving,
it.
when I owned it.
Yeah. Would you find that if you're sitting down with one of your clients, I would imagine, that fear piece is a big part of that. Is one of the first things you do with them is to help them get that vision so they know what they're working for and they can get that spark
Women
back.
don't even know what they want anymore.
Well, I think it's still sometimes fear because, and I mentioned this in a past episode, is we have the vision, but then we talk ourselves out of it because we get so stuck in how am I going to make that happen? And the how is scary. And if we don't have the how, then we don't even go down. And so I think, again, remembering, we'll worry about how later.
Right.
But like
Well,
the
you
first
gotta
domino.
surrender that. Yeah, you got to surrender that.
I would think the first domino is let's just get clear, because until you're clear, that's what gets you excited.
Absolutely.
And that's what wants you to not just pluck the dominoes, but kick them down so they go.
Exactly. So I always say clarity is queen. And so the very first,
clarity is queen.
So the very first thing out the gate, right, is to sit with someone and really discover where you've been, where you want to go, how can we get there? And then the big piece of the work I find for many of my clients is going to be going back and really uncovering the stories that they've been hanging on to, because we have those beliefs. So that's definitely the psychology background in me is going back and let's uncover the blocks.
Yeah.
Because I want to make sure that we're clearing the way for you and those things won't interrupt your journey.
Do you do this after they've already committed to you, or
Yeah,
that's
because
the
it
magical
takes
part.
time to talk, right? I mean, so it's that's the journey of the stories and listening to a client talk. And I just started with a brand new, brilliant woman, and that was what we were doing and listening to her story unfold and the passion that she has. And I'm like, I know where we're going with you, but that's what takes the time to unfold the stories and having that relationship and connection with someone where you really uncover all of those parts where we're going to want to step in and make sure that we're supporting her so that she's got that clear light stake. I call it tucking in. We want to keep her tucked in and continuing on her path. Yes.
I have a question. Energy worker, because there's a lot of, if you're not a coach, this is like one of those words out there. You're like, what the hell does an energy worker do? Are you giving me a crystal? Are you reading my palm? So just break it down. Let's get clear on what is an energy, what does an energy healer do? What do you do specifically?
Yeah. So energy work is a lot of things. So the energy worker that I first saw actually did acupuncture. So he was really trained in Chinese medicine. So when you say energy worker, the challenging thing is that looks like a lot of things. One of the typical energy forms that we find out in kind of mainstream is going to be Reiki. So if you've heard of Reiki, right? So I went and trained in Reiki because I didn't want to just tell people, I'm up in your energy working with you, because that sounds weird, right? So I was like, I'm gonna go get trained so I have some awareness about what I'm doing and how I'm showing up to that. And so that's really what it is. And the neat thing is about my perspective in working with people is that, you were talking favorite quotes. So I'm going to share mine. You didn't ask, but I'm going to share mine. Please. So one of my very favorites in the world is by Maya Angelou. And she said, people will forget what you said. They'll forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. So to me, when I think about our purpose, some of the myths people have, one of them in particular is my favorite, is it's a role. I'm a mom,
Yep.
I'm an entrepreneur. I mean, I hear all these, right?
All
so,
the titles.
Right, yeah, so
Yeah.
common, and I totally understand that. And then when you, but I'm like, you're deeper than that, and you're bigger than that, and you're offering something so much more profound, even than that one role. And so it's really helping people tap into the essence.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm an energy worker, but I'm also helping women tap into your essence. So when I
Yeah.
would look at you, and as I know you, and I'm doing my coaching, we're understanding what is that bottom line. That when someone comes into your realm, they're going to walk away with that very signature mark of who you are and what you bring to the world.
Right.
And that's what makes you who you are.
Okay.
Right? That's the money. That's
Yeah.
the magic. And so that's always really kind of part of the joy, is tying in the background, the clarity, right? That psychological background, and working in the clarity and the blocks, and then really helping women tap into those beautiful strengths and talents and gifts that they bring, and use that essence with it to really shine that out into the world.
That's gorgeous.
Go ahead.
I want to talk myths.
Okay.
What would be 2 or 3 biggest myths that you'd love to kind of bust right now in your field?
Yeah. So for sure, I would say the one is that it's a role.
Okay.
2, that it looks like one thing. Look at my story. My story is a perfect example. I'm going to be a clinical social worker for the rest of my days. I'm going to retire here. And so we can get stuck, right? And so lane changes is coming up in a minute, and so we'll need to make those lane changes, and we'll talk about that. But it's really, we don't do it in one straight shot, right? We are going to need to make choices and maneuver to keep, because we evolve. So as we evolve, our paths are going to evolve, right? And I would say the other one is that you want to give space for showing up in a way that is making space for all the things that have happened. So I find people come to me and they'll say, Jen, I did a podcast with a gentleman, great guy. And he said, yeah, I worked at NASA. This is me. I'm totally derailed. I'm like, NASA? He's like, yeah, I really didn't do much for my career. And he's going, and I'm like, I'm stuck at NASA. I'm like, I want to work at NASA. Are you kidding? Right?
Yeah.
And we're laughing, And I had to say to him, know every single thing you do. Every single thing you do, even the moments that don't feel like you're on the right path, even the moments that feel like mistakes, are always preparing you to land exactly where you need to be.
Exactly.
And where you need to go.
And I think it's really important that people understand that, because, and you even mentioned it, and I agreed with you that, it took me too long. Yeah. And the reality is it didn't.
I know, right?
It took the way because it had to work that way.
Yes.
And before we jump into this idea of changing lanes, we change lanes because we know we're out of alignment.
That's right.
And I want to talk about, you had mentioned you were dreading Mondays. For me, I mentioned, crying in the car on the way. What would you say are some of, the most common signs that women should be looking to cue in to say, okay, something's not right here?
Yeah, the morning dreads.
Morning dreads.
I would say, when you're waking up and you are dreading going into work, you're crying on your way in, you're finding reasons not to go. Maybe you're having wine every night to go to bed to soothe. It might be that you are feeling distinctively burnt out, a lot of exhaustion. And one of the things that really it can turn into, and this is on that more extreme level, and my fear for women is that, right now we're going through so much of an increase in mental health given the pandemic.
Yes.
So many things, right?
Right.
We don't want, I don't want to go there today because boy, we're all, talked out on that. But really, truly, that increase in mental health is what can happen is when we spend a very long time out of alignment, it can really turn into something that's more significant, like depression, anxiety, right? We're talking something that really require more significant care.
Yes.
And so we don't want it to turn to that. But it's something as simple as, headaches, stomach aches, digestive issues. So it's both that emotional realm, that physical realm, and you're really you're losing inspiration. I mean, you're showing up and you're kind of in the hamster wheel, right? Just doing the things you're doing, but it's not like there's the heart and passion and feeling behind it anymore. That's what you really want to be looking for.
I know, because I loved, so the opposite, right? I loved it. And I was like, I would cry when I'm like, I would never leave this place, right? Like, I love my job.
Yeah.
But I love the people, I love the culture that I was creating. But for me, I was noticing that when I would take a client to coffee and they would be like, Krista, tell me about, nobody wants to talk collision or insurance. So note to self, if you're in that industry, nobody cares about that. We're building relationships, right? And that's what made me really great is I actually got into how can I help you, not just on a business level, tell me about your personal life. But the thing that they would ask me, Krista, what are you into? What are you doing these days? And I'm like, oh my gosh, actually? And I would and I could feel that and knowing, like, I'm very true to myself and I know that it doesn't feel good to work for somebody else and get paid a really great salary and be not showing up for them.
Yes.
I should have been like, oh, my guys at my work, we got in this new machine, it helps us do aluminum, like all these things. And instead it was, I met a lady the other day, she lost 20 pounds. And then I was like, I don't feel right. And then when I would show up to them, and they'd be like, Carissa, what are the numbers? I'm like, the numbers are there. Like, I'm good at what I do at the end of the day. But I was like, I feel guilty. Like, I was like, you're signing my paycheck, and I'm not even out there now talking about you anymore.
And there is that guilt. I mean, I think that's really even like when I finally was telling my business partner that I was really leaving, I said, if my heart's not in this anymore, how am I here for this business? How am I here for the clients in the right way that I pride myself on showing up, right? So I love that you were making that connection of, if I'm not really feeling it, I'm excited to talk about this over here. This is, when I light up over here, that's my sign.
Yeah, exactly.
That lit up, right? I have a friend that works at Polaris, and he is so great, and just to listen to him talk, I'm leaning in and I'm excited, and I don't make snowmobiles, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But he's so excited and brings
passionate.
that fire. A friend of mine lost 100 pounds like you did, and she was going to do virtual assistant. She went to like a chamber something event, and she comes back and I go, how did your event go? She goes, well, I talked to everybody about my weight loss journey and how to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
That's where your soul is.
Exactly. Right? When you connect with, again, that thing that lights you up.
And that's where your story, right? That's where the story comes into the passion.
Exactly.
So tell me about that, because I know, obviously you have a story and it's gotten you where you are. I have a story, and my weight loss story has gotten me into where I am. Same with you. You help women find success, when they're feeling burnt out and things. So how do you figure out, how can you, because really it's not telling the client what they need to, like, they have to hear it.
Right.
They have to become so self-aware that they're like, this is my passion.
But
they have to come it through. So how do you get that out of them? How does story A have anything to do with purpose?
Right. It's looking through, I think, the journey of where they've been, and again, what they're bringing, right? That's so much of that clarity. And as you begin to uncover all the layers of where they've been, and even the spots where they felt like they were failing, and the struggle and things like that. So it's laying all of that out. And so I can think back to my journey, and I had a significant trauma in my family when I was 17 years old. And so I think this is how it plays in is, at 17 years old, I had this awful experience with my family, and I would have never, had you said to me in my life into my career journey and into my education, that I was going to work with teens, I would have laughed at you. And so as I started to train, one of my beautiful mentors was like, by the way, we're going to be doing a young men's anger group. And I was like, sweet, I know so much about that. That's going to be perfect for me, right? But what happened was I ended up really uncovering that was one of my passions. And so I worked with teenagers for 20 years. So because of that trauma, right? That was it was gritty and it was hard, and it also impacted me in such a way that I wanted to help other teens as much as I could not have that kind of experience. And so those pieces, as they come together, are pulling us into alignment. They're preparing us, right? I said that earlier. It's just preparation. And so it's really helping clients uncover, how are you being prepared? You were always being brought to this point. And understanding the steps of their stories that were happening for them, not to them. And that's a whole different idea.
So going into this idea of changing lanes.
Yes, my favorite.
We talked about, again, knowing that's the part of the domino.
Yes.
First of all, explain what does it mean to change lanes, and then how do you help people through that?
Yeah, so changing lanes looks like what I did. It wasn't that my purpose changed. So when I decided to leave the practice and open coaching and do something in just a different realm, that is a lane change. So it's really sitting with clients and helping them discover, where are you being called now? So it doesn't necessarily, so one, we want to get clear on what their purpose is. So that's right, that's number one. But then we want to understand, how can you do that either right where you are, because sometimes we can harness, maybe somebody really does love their gig, and they just need to figure out a way to tap into that purpose in a deeper way, right? Sometimes it's a hobby, sometimes it's a side hustle, sometimes it means a really big pivot. So mine was a pretty serious pivot, right? I had this gig that was working, and so I could have stayed there, but it was a pivot into a different lane that was really going to be serving the people that I felt like I was being called to serve. And hey Jen, you made a lane change. How can I do that? So that's how I started knowing, like, yep, that's what I'm going to be doing, because women are asking me, how did you get there?
Right.
I'm scared to do that. How did you do it? How did you make that happen? How did you leave the safety?
Right.
And so that's really what it is it's really walking women through that fear, but helping them understand that there's something so much better for you when you step into that. How do you feel though? And they feel so much better and they're so empowered. Like, you're tapping into exactly what you want to bring to the world when you're doing that. And so it's really just figuring out every single person would have a little bit different lane change. And so it's just being mindful and getting your eyes on the prize, right? It's that vision.
Yeah.
So setting the vision on where you want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like setting that GPS, and it's
Exactly.
like, okay, now get into
Yes.
the next right lane,
Right.
and the
Yeah, and the
next
next,
right
and
lane,
the next.
and now we're getting
Right.
off, and you feel good.
And I like the idea you could still be on the same highway,
Exactly.
just a different
exactly.
lane.
That's right.
And
exactly.
and when you said that with your story, because it resonated with, I didn't realize I wanted to work with women, first off, because I bring a lot of no BS, very masculine energy, right? Again, my quote is all about excuses. Quit making them, right? So I don't have a lot of that, oh, that's so sad, and that's it's okay. Everyone needs different types of coaches, but I have learned to now tap into the masculine side and the feminine side, but I was just so afraid to show the feminine side for so long. But, like what I was going with this is when I started, finding ladies, I was like, okay, this is what I'm meant to do, because it goes beyond the weight loss. It's a lot of the trauma. Like, how did I get to 213? It's the trauma that came from the past.
Absolutely.
That's why I didn't want to work with them. I'm like, they all got trauma, right? Guys are like, no, I don't want to talk about that. Just tell me from A to D. The guys are easy. I'm sorry, but y'all are
Because
easy
you can just
to
get to the
coach.
fitness. You can get to the,
Yeah, they're
to
like,
the strategy.
cool, because they don't
Yeah.
they don't ask for permission, right? Women, we have this like, well, if I'm going to go to the gym, I've got to make sure it's okay with my husband. I got to spend $5K on your program. I got to ask.
I've got to look cute.
Yeah. Well, but guys don't ask. Guys do what they know is going to be best.
That's right.
It's a really good trait for them.
It is.
Because I would work with men and I would say, yes, it's a 10K program, and they'd say, okay, would you like me to sign a check or just give you a card? Women? Oh, I don't know, I gotta ask my partner, and we run all these decisions through, and I'm like, okay, and I get that. I don't make a big decision either without my partner's, opinion. But there's a big difference when I go and I say, babe, I'm doing this. Yes. I love to have your support. Yes. And he knows, right? He knows when he's not gonna even talk me out of it. But I realized, and then I started dabbling into kids, because I was like, man, maybe I should work with kids. Worked with my 12-year-old and realized, nope, this is not it, right? I love you, little one, but I don't want, she had a lot of self-confidence issues and eating disorders and things like that, right? And so I was like, well, maybe that's the path. But what I realized is that if I just stick in my lane with the women that I should be working with, I'm actually helping them break the chain.
Absolutely.
Because I wanted to help the kids. I want to break the generation of overweight, because as moms, it's our job to they all want that. They all come down to, well, I don't want my life. I don't want my kids to look like my life. I don't want them to struggle. Yes. So that's how I'm. The vision is still true. I'm still helping the next generation. Right. I'm just helping their mamas first.
That's right.
And I think you do, and I think for so many, I know this was definitely a case for me. I was so afraid to pick a lane, because I liked this lane. But then that lane, it was sort of like when you're in traffic and you're like, well, that one's going faster over there, and then you get there and then you're at a stop and you're like, well, maybe I'll go back to this one. And so I was always, constantly switching lanes, because it's the same thing. I wanted to help this person and I wanted to help that person.
Absolutely.
And for years, I was too damn afraid to pick a lane. And, so how do you help people gain the confidence? Because it's a scarcity mindset, it's a fear-based mindset, it doesn't serve us. So how do you help people break through and say, it's going to be okay, there's enough in your lane?
Yeah, we have to reset. I mean, I always think we have to reset, and that's where building confidence is sort of day one. So clarity is number one, and then part of that journey is really having you uncover what your talents are, what your gifts are, what makes you light up. We want you to get so super clear and passionate and excited about that, that vision is gonna hold you. And then that's where coaching is so important, right? Because then it's the voice.
Yeah.
I get coaching, right? I don't offer anything to anyone that I'm not willing to step into myself. I'm always receiving healing services, coaching.
Yes.
And so my friends will look at me and go, girl, what are you doing? That's not your, they will look at me and say, hey, whoa, Haas, this is really what you're good at. Like stick with your alignment, stick with that end game that you have in your mind. And so that's really what it is, but it's that building up that strength and resilience. And so that's what you want women to really be able to identify, is look at how resilient you are. Look at where your strengths are. And we want to like just pull that all together in this beautiful package and have them so extra clear about what that looks like and feels like for them. And then again, it's the guidance, it's that gentle. And honestly, one of the biggest things that I would recommend for women on this journey, and you spoke so beautifully to it, Claire, was community. Is that you're going to hear people say, you did, oh, but you have such a good job.
Right.
Why would you mess with
that? Even my ex-husband, can't you just be happy in your job?
Exactly.
Isn't this enough? Isn't what you do is enough?
Yeah. Isn't this enough? And so really one of the questions that I love, where I see people when they're struggling, women will think is, is this all there is? And that's one of those signs that you go, oh, because there is more than. If your question is, is this enough? We've all been there. Is this enough? Then no. Certainly not.
And
right?
first off, if women, I feel like our audience, a lot of them we're career-focused, passionate women.
Yes.
So if you're asking, like, is this, like, it's never going to be enough. And that's a beautiful part. When you can learn to see and like, reset the word enough, reframe it. I don't want to ever be enough, actually, because then that means I've stopped growing.
Right.
It means I've stopped striving for something bigger than me, right?
Yes.
Okay, so last tidbit, because we give great strategies, right? These are really amazing. But let's go back to that 4-letter word, fear. Because until you're ready, that fear is always going to be there.
Yes.
And even, you could paint me the most beautiful picture about what I want and that vision, but some people get so stuck in fear. So what is your number one strategy to really start to let go? Again, start. It's a process.
Yes.
What is the number one strategy that women need to do to start letting go of the fear so that they can get into the right lane?
I really, truly think it's about the inner knowing, which I just know sounds so cliche, but it's really about knowing yourself and knowing what you're capable of and trusting that. And that's really tough work. It all ties together, right? To say one over the other is really hard because they actually all layer. And that's really the work that I do, is that I describe it as though you're working through various layers of your being. Right? And so what we want to do is tap into all of the layers. So if you talk, for example, about psychology and psychotherapy, that's really going to tap into your mind and your thoughts and your emotions, right?
Right.
Okay. But there's services like meditation, breath work, that are going to go through all of the layers of your being for healing, right?
NLP,
so what we, exactly, right?
love
So when you
NLP.
start tapping into all the different layers of your being, the physical, the emotional, the mind, the wisdom, the intuition, right? The heart, then you're getting big traction. And so it's also teaching women the skills to utilize those energetic tricks and tools that they can tap into, that when they start getting afraid, we use tapping, we use those tools and skills, right, that tap into all the layers of their being, so that when they're feeling stuck or afraid, they've got a meditation or they've got a tapping practice, or I've recorded something special for them that they can listen to their own personal meditation. You want to have all of those tools, and so that toolbox becomes key for dealing with all of that fear. Absolutely.
What an amazing episode. I am on fire. I hope our viewers, I hope somebody out there goes and quits their job today.
Me too.
And, does that. So viewers, if you're watching, email us, connect with us back. Let us know, but tapping into that and really just understanding, gosh, pick a lane and really do what lights you up. Don't focus on the money. I mean, there's so many people that are doing things, social work, teaching. It's not about the money. It's about doing what lights you up.
It is.
And when you truly go into that, I mean, I just
the
know
money
it for
comes.
me.
I'm telling you now.
Everything comes together.
The money will come.
Everything comes together.
Yes,
Everything comes together, because then you want to get healthy, because it's about, I want to be healthy so I can go serve more people. And just, it's so powerful. So much acknowledgement for you, so much gratitude for you and what you do for people. We want to definitely gift you with our book, Women Who Boss Up. And that's something you can also share with a lot of your clients to encourage them. So many women in there sharing their stories.
That's amazing.
So, we talked a lot about finding your purpose today. We talked a lot about getting in alignment and breaking through the fear. So for all of you out there, we just thank you for tuning in today. We wish you so much abundance, happiness, love, and support in going into your own journey and having the courage to step into your lane. Remember, you can watch all of our episodes on motivationandsuccess.com, and you can catch us on our site, livingrealtv.com. In the meantime, keep living real.